Good morning, afternoon, everyone. We are excited to present to you today on a highly relevant and timely topic, decoupling without deglobalization, implications for multinational enterprises menace. In today's rapidly shifting global landscape, the balance between global integration and selective decoupling is more critical than ever for international business strategies. Our presentation will explore these dynamics and how major multinational corporations are navigating this complex environment. Introducing our team, Rui Hao Gao has focused on analyzing the current global economic trends and their impact on trade relations. Yixuan Liu researched case studies of multinational enterprises, particularly focusing on technology companies like Apple and Huawei. Zheng Kaiyang contributed to understanding the institutional frameworks and their role in shaping international business decisions. Zheng Haozhao explored the adaptation strategies of Manes in the face of geopolitical risks and supply chain challenges. Together, we have combined our efforts to provide a comprehensive analysis of the intersection between globalization and decoupling, offering insights into the future of international business. Now, let's begin by exploring the key factors driving these trends and how they are reshaping the strategies of multinational firms globally. Today, we will be presenting on the topic of globalization and its evolving nature, particularly focusing on the concept of decoupling without deglobalization. Our group consists of introduced group members, and we have based this presentation on our essay, which explores how multinational enterprises are navigating the current international business environment. In this essay, we discussed several theories and examples, including the institution-based view and its relevance in understanding the strategies that Manis adopt when dealing with selective decoupling. One major example we examined is the ongoing trade war between the US and China, particularly its impact on major technology companies like Apple and Huawei. We also explored how companies are restructuring their supply chains and reassessing geopolitical risks in this new environment. Overall, our findings suggest that while decoupling is happening in specific areas, globalization continues to shape the global economic landscape, and Manes must be adaptive to succeed in this complex world. The essay delves into the idea that decoupling the process of countries or regions pulling apart in key areas such as trade, technology, and supply chains does not signify the end of globalization, but rather the evolution of it. Globalization, while facing new challenges, continues to influence how multinational enterprises operate across borders. We examined this concept by analyzing both the current trends of selective decoupling and how multinational companies are strategically adapting to these shifts to remain competitive in a more fragmented global environment. We structured the essay around three key pillars essential to the success of Manes value: creation, market access, and innovation. These areas are crucial for companies looking to navigate the complexities of decoupling while continuing to thrive in the global market. Our analysis began by addressing several fundamental questions. How are companies restructuring their supply chains to mitigate the effects of decoupling? With the rising tensions in geopolitical relations, especially between global powers such as the US and China, many companies are reassessing their reliance on certain regions and adopting more resilient, diversified supply chain strategies. How does decoupling affect market access and the regulatory landscape for companies? As countries become more protectionist or enforce stricter trade barriers, Manes face new challenges in terms of entering or maintaining access to foreign markets. Companies must now navigate complex regulations and geopolitical risks while still capitalizing on global opportunities. What is the impact of decoupling on technology and innovation? The essay explores how decoupling in sectors such as technology, particularly with export restrictions and intellectual property concerns, is driving companies to invest more heavily in local R&D and innovation to reduce reliance on foreign partners. To support these questions, we integrated real-world examples from industries that are particularly vulnerable to decoupling, such as electronics, telecommunications, and automotive. By analyzing companies within these sectors, we were able to showcase the tangible effects of decoupling and highlight the strategic responses being employed. For instance, we discussed how companies like Apple and Huawei are adapting their supply chains and innovation efforts in response to the US-China trade war. We also examined how automotive giants like Tesla are diversifying their supply chains to ensure continuous production in the face of potential decoupling scenarios. In conclusion, while decoupling represents a significant shift in how countries interact economically, it does not mean the end of global interconnectedness. Instead, it pushes companies to rethink their strategies, become more agile, and focus on building resilience in a world where economic fragmentation is becoming more pronounced.
Why we choose specific series and examples. The core theory we applied is the institutional-based will. This theory focuses on how business adapt to the rules, regulations, and institutions that cover markets. We saw this was the best fit because decoupling is largely driven by geopolitical changes and trade policies, which are central to the institutional environment business operate in. We used the IBV theory to explain how MNEs adapt to new regulations, tariffs, or trade barriers by reshaping their supply chains and business strategies. For instance, we use Samsung as a case study to illustrate how a multinational can diversify its supply chain to reduce geopolitical risks. Samsung's response to the tensions between South Korea and Japan shows how companies adjust to local challenges by investing in other regions like Vietnam and India. Similarly, Tesla's example in the automotive industry highlights how companies are finding alternative suppliers for critical materials like lithium and cobalt. Tesla diversification into North America and Europe for battery materials shows how MNEs can secure their operations despite decoupling trends. These examples were chosen because they perfectly reflect how business adjusts to the changing global environment. How we reached our findings. Our findings stemmed from analyzing how these companies have successfully navigated decoupling challenges while still participating in global markets. We saw that restructuring supply chains to reduce dependence on a single region or country was crucial from value creation. Samsung and Tesla both adapted by expanding into different regions, allowing them to keep production running despite geopolitical disruptions. Regulatory challenges were another major issue, especially in industries like telecommunications and pharmaceuticals. We look at Huawei to understand how companies are dealing with restrictions in key markets. Huawei's pivot to emerging markets in Asia, Africa, and Latin America shows that business can still expand even when cut off from certain countries. Finally, we found that innovation ecosystems are becoming more localized due to decoupling, particularly in sectors like semiconductors. Both China and US are investing in their own tech ecosystem to reduce dependency on each other. Yet at the same time, global collaboration remains crucial in areas like artificial intelligence. Through this analysis, we reached the conclusion that while decoupling is happening, it doesn't necessarily mean an end to globalization. Instead, MNEs are finding ways to adapt by being more strategic in how they approach different regions and markets.
Next is the implications of our findings. The findings of our essay have significant implications for both businesses and policy makers. First, we learned that flexibility and adaptability are essential for multinational enterprises in today's complex environment. Companies that can quickly adjust to new regulations, trade restrictions, or geopolitical risks will thrive. Those that remain too dependent on one market or region will struggle. Second, the rest of parallel innovation ecosystems means that the businesses will have to decide where to invest their research and development efforts. Companies will need to keep up with the pace of innovation in key regions like the US, China, and Europe, while still maintaining global collaborations in sectors where cooperation remains strong. Finally, our analysis suggests that while decoupling represents challenges, it also opens up new opportunities for businesses. By diversifying supply chains, exploring new markets, and investing in local research and development, multinational enterprises can mitigate risks and continue to grow globally. This is a reflection of our essay. Our group begins the essay by analyzing the central themes of globalization and decoupling, drawing upon the institution-based well to understand how multinational enterprises navigate this complex landscape. Each member took on a specific role, one focused on gathering the latest academic sources, while another researched the real-world examples like Apple and Huawei to see how these corporations are responding to selected decoupling. In addition, one member took responsibility for ensuring that theoretical framework aligned with the examples we provided, which was crucial for making sure our essay flowed logically. One of the key challenges we faced was synthesizing a vast amount of information. Decoupling and globalization are broad topics with many layers, so it was difficult at times to determine which aspects were most relevant for our argument. To manage this, we held group meetings where we would discuss the material in detail and narrow down our focus. This collaborative effort helped ensure that each part of the essay contributed to the overall argument. Time management was another challenge since we had to balance research with writing process. But by setting clear deadlines for each section, we were able to stay on track.
In summary, our research demonstrates that while decoupling is a significant trend in areas such as technology and trade policy, globalization is far from over. As we have shown, MNEs like the Apple and Huawei are adapting to the challenges of the decoupling by their supply chains and geopolitical risk, despite the growing complex in international relations. The global economy remains interconnected with the companies continue to operate on a worldwide scale. The findings from our IC highlight the importance of the strategic flexibility for multinational companies. Decoupling presents both challenges and opportunities, and firms that can adapt by leveraging new markets, restoring production, or investing in innovation will have a better chance of in this new environment. We hope these presentations has provided value insights into the evolving dynamics of the international business. Thank you for your attention.